welcome to the Ugly Truth. I had the most awkward moment in Reno.
Oh yeah,
I forgot. I wanted to tell you about
I
it.
had one too, but
Oh, okay. So
mine's not that awkward. It's just another stupid fucking thing I always do. I'm like, why? Why?
So we were sitting at the Peppermill restaurant and we're waiting for the food. And they have, and it shocked me at first, they have robot busboys.
Oh.
So basically...
Have you been to an AI drive-thru yet, by the way?
What? No.
Yeah.
Who has one?
Carl's Jr.
I haven't.
And another, there's somebody, a Taco Bell has one too.
Taco Bell?
But now, I don't think it's all of them. I think it depends. And I can't remember if Carl's Jr. is a franchise or not. But I went to one the other day. I go to this one all the time. And the whole thing was AI.
It's like, hello, how are you?
Yeah, except for they make it sound really, it sounds like a person, but you know it's AI.
Is it like Alexa? Hello.
Yeah.
How are you?
It's like, what can I get you today?
Oh my
Is that all? Would you like to make that a combo? And
Weird.
I was like, so when I pulled up, I'm like, is there going to be a human being
Were there
up
robots
here?
in there?
No, but I didn't know because I was so shocked by the fact that it was an AI ordering system that I was like, holy fuck. I was like, they're doing it. It's happening. I was like, oh my God.
So we're sitting at our table and I see, and they put googly eyes on it to make it look more human, I assume. And it's like neat, neat, neat going around. Well, the servers basically type in this pad what table needs to be bussed.
Okay. It's just a busser.
Yes.
It's not a
and
waiter.
Then
okay.
And then it takes the dirty dishes to the back. Anyway.
How does it grab them and everything?
I don't know. I don't know if it grabs it or if they grab it and put it in there. I'm not sure.
And then they come and take it from like the station?
And then they take it to the dishwasher
kitchen.
or whatever.
Okay.
But there was a couple of them. Wow. Anyway, so I'm watching this thing and I saw the server type anything in and it's standing in front of a clear table and she's putting stuff in it or whatever. I go, oh, that's so weird. Stephanie, I'm such a fucking moron. So I'm like, oh.
No, you're not, but I know because if I did it, I would be like, oh my God.
So I'm like, oh, the table stands underneath the table. I'm like, they have lights on them. And when the thing is in front of it, it's orange if it's dirty. And then when it's green, when it's cleaned up, that's fascinating. So what? And Daryl's like, oh, wow. So it's all like super interactive and everything. I'm like, yeah, it's like, sensors and stuff. So it takes off and I go, oh. He goes, what? I go, the poles are just metal and I saw the reflection of the lights from the stupid machine.
It wasn't lighting up
at all. I'm such an idiot. He's like, I'm so confused by how you thought that's what you saw. And I'm like, I don't know.
Because it would make sense that they would make something like that. But
oh my God. I could not believe it. I'm like, you know what? I am literally one of the most gullible humans I've ever met in my life.
Oh my God, Jamie.
I mean, my life. Oh, God.
No, I know. I'm an oversharer or sometimes.
What?
When I get nervous, it gets worse. And like, we've talked about this before, how you start going down a rabbit hole, you're doing it, but you can't stop.
Like, help!
Why do you keep going? Like, why don't you just cut it off? You're doing it, but it's like you can't stop yourself. You have to keep talking.
I have to finish my statement.
And why? And everyone else is already looking at you like, yeah, we were done like 5 minutes ago.
Anyway.
And whenever you want to stop, we'll move on. So we did this icebreaker for this meeting I'm in charge of that I chair. And so the icebreaker was, it's always my idea. And I'm like, let's talk about pets. Do you have some? Have you ever had one? If not, do you want one? That kind of thing. So we go around the room. It's my turn and we're almost done. Like I'm last. And I start talking about the pets I have left because I have very few left. And I'm like coming to peace with that. And like, that's actually a good thing. Cause if you've had pets and you've had a lot of them, it's like so much work.
Yeah.
And cleaning and,
all of it.
Right. And so, I proceeded to say, yeah, I just lost my cat. He was 16. I really loved him and, blah, blah, blah. And that could have been fine. I could have just cut it off there.
Did you discuss the death?
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Why? And then I'm like, and he's buried in my backyard.
Oh,
and
God.
I put him in a shoebox and everybody's just looking at me.
Oh,
and I wrapped him in a baby blanket and they're like, we didn't need to know all that. And I'm like,
oh, dear.
You fucking idiot. I'm like, and I heard myself and I'm like, why are you still talking? Like,
I'm sorry. I'm still processing this.
They respected you until like 2 minutes ago. So embarrassing.
Oh, well, I wish.
Well, all right, let's move on.
If I'd been there, I'm all. Sorry for your loss.
They all had these great stories. I mean, there was this one guy who like found a crow when it was a baby out of the nest and raised it and like tamed it and like
I want a crow
it
so
come and land on his
bad.
arm and like it followed him to the other house they lived at, and it was just like
That's amazing.
It was the greatest story ever, and I'm over here like, and my cat's feed in the backyard in a box, and
Well, we all have our story.
like fuck.
Speaking of, I wept like a fool. It was actually originally a TikTok of a screenshot of something on Reddit.
Okay.
Sometimes that happens on TikTok where they'll post like a Reddit thing and you swipe through the slides.
I know what you're talking about.
So this person said, is there anyone in your life at any time in your life, childhood to yesterday, that you still think of that it was, and it wasn't like a deep friendship, just some random person in your life and you're like, I
That
wonder
left
how
a
that
mark.
person is, you know, whatever. So this girl, she said I was in 6th grade. And I would occasionally, and this girl was in my class. Her name was Nguyen. Okay.
Hey.
And she said we were in the same class together, but she never spoke. She never answered. She never even laughed. She was very quiet. And every once in a while, we would walk home together, and she would never talk, but we would walk home together in silence together.
Uh-huh.
And this happened occasionally. She goes, one time I heard her laugh. Once I heard her laugh. Then my dad was being transferred mid semester, so I was staying late to clean out my desk because I was moving and I was leaving the school, and she was still at the class and she wasn't leaving, which is kind of unusual, but I didn't think anything of it. And then out of nowhere, she said, "I'm really gonna miss you."
Aww.
And she's like, "Oh," she goes, "I can't believe it that you're saying that." She's like, "Well, I'm gonna miss you too." She's like, "I still think about her to this day."
Aww.
So then,
Like, why was she so sad?
So then the internet is a wondrous place.
Right.
People start trying to find her.
Yeah.
But she goes, first of all, Nguyen is actually a very common name.
Well, sometimes they give you that name if you don't have a name, or if you're, because in different cultures, this is so off topic, and I will keep it very, very brief so you can keep your story going. But at my work, one of the names we would see that was very common was Fanu.
Oh.
FNU. And so,
Okay.
and you got used to seeing it after a while in this one specific culture. You'd be like, I I don't know why, but it's a female name. Or no,
Okay.
it was actually, it was unisex. So one day I was doing a call and I was talking to somebody named Fanu, and we hung up and I was like, yeah, another Fanu. And my friend's like, Fanu? She's like, what are you talking about? Oh, I go, well, haven't you seen that? I go, and she's like, well, yeah. She goes, that means they don't have a first name. So we put in an acronym. I'm like, meaning what? She's like, first name unknown. Fanu. I'm like, I've been calling people Fanu for years. And they never corrected me. They're like, why are you calling me Fanu? I thought that was a name.
Oh my God. Oh my
Tells
God.
you this? How are you supposed to know?
In one culture specifically.
She's like, that's because in that culture you only get one name. There is no first name, last name.
So
But
they
our American systems are built to where you have
need
to
it.
have a name slot in first name, or it won't let you save the record.
Stephanie.
So we put first name unknown.
Fanu.
Yes, it's Fanu, right? They're like, uh-huh.
They don't know.
Never said no.
They're like, what? They're like, okay, sure.
I think after a while they started getting used to. I wonder why these people call me Fanu every time I call.
Oh my
I'm like
God.
such an idiot. So
Anyway, so
yes.
update. She finds this woman that she thinks might be her classmate
Right.
from 25 years ago.
Wow.
So she reaches out to her on Facebook. She goes, hey, she's like, I don't know if you remember me. I'm Shelby. I think we might have had the same teacher in 6th grade. I moved mid-year, but I think, I just wanted to know if this was you. I think about you kind of often.
Yeah.
I just want to know if you were okay. So the woman responds, and she's like, I do remember you. That was me.
Oh my God.
How are you? This is amazing. And she said,
I speak now.
She said, she's like, how are you doing? She goes, oh, I'm doing great. She goes, how are you? What are you doing? And she's like, you're not going to believe this, but I am a speech pathologist and psychiatrist for speech pathology.
Oh my.
And she said, I actually now realize I had selective mutism as a child.
She just chose not to speak.
She couldn't. She had
Oh my
selective
God.
mutism. And so she said, And then I'm reading this to Daryl, and I'm trying really hard not to cry.
Right.
Because these two 6th grade old classmates who they weren't even that close, but it was her only friend.
Right.
Literally.
Because everybody else was probably like, she's weird. She doesn't talk.
Yes. And she said, thank you so much for being a friend to that awkward, quiet little girl.
Aww.
And I'm all, you know, and I'm like, I don't understand why I'm crying like this. And then I read all the comments and they're like, okay, well, every time I open this app, I weep.
Right.
What is going on?
I would too.
And I'm like, okay,
Wow.
so I'm not the only one that was moved by this. This was such a, and how many uplifting stories do you honestly come across?
I'm sure there are a lot more that, you know,
but things like that.
That's the thing about the internet that's so amazing is like all these weird things that you didn't have any way to record.
You never would have.
In a million years, you always wonder about that one weird smelly girl.
And I'm trying, and you know
whatever.
what? There is someone that I think about not every day.
I think we're people that people think about.
But I
wonder what's wrong with those girls.
Oh, I hope that's not what they think. But there's one person, it was 5th or 6th grade, and he was, now looking back, he was on the spectrum, 100%. And I think his parents just kind of threw him in school because there was no programs back then.
Yeah.
And I remember him because I was one of the only people that was nice to him because he was bullied quite a bit.
Yeah, I bet.
And it hurt my body. I couldn't take it. I'm like, you guys can't be mean to him. He's obviously not like us.
Right.
And he wore cowboy boots every day.
Aww.
And I remember his name. I'm not going to say his name. But I think about him kind of regularly.
Yeah.
Because I'm wondering what happened to him. And I'm hoping that he, you know, based on where we used to live.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping that he found a safe life.
That is the great thing about growing up is like once you become an adult, people don't really bully you and all that shit. You know what I mean?
But if he's
buy your independence.
But if he was kind of, you know, in need of assistance,
maybe
I worry.
he lives with his parents or something. You know, I don't know. I just
But there are some kids that I remember, and I look back now and I'm like, God, they were so dirt poor. I had no idea.
Right?
You look back and you're like, oh my God, you know.
The funny thing is I was friends with a couple of them, and there's this one girl who I thought she was, I don't want to say poor, but they were just so normal, and like she didn't have a lot of friends, but her and I were really good friends. I always befriended these types of people.
So did I.
Yeah, like no one else was friends with her, but she would invite me to her house, you know, and I would go.
That was same.
And I think mom was like, no, that person's safe. Like, yeah, they're not popular and they're not mean and, you know, all those things. So, but now wouldn't you fucking know it that she's married to like this ridiculously wealthy man. They travel the world.
Well, that's nice for her.
Yes.
Good
I mean,
for
like
her.
they're clearly living a very luxurious life. And I'm like, God, Mandy? Oh my God.
How you have blossomed, one.
So
God, that's great though.
Yeah. And her husband's like gorgeous.
You know what? That kind of makes me happy.
It made me happy. I was just like, I should have stayed friends with Mandy.
You wouldn't have been able to keep up with her, unfortunately.
She was a little too pure even for me.
Oh,
but I'm glad she got her happy ending. Yeah.
So I'm just glad that every you know, and they're like, you guys have to meet, and the woman's like, yo, I mean, we weren't that close.
Calm down. I'm just
like we thought. I think of her often. That was it. Like I don't want to be her BFF or anything.
Right.
We live lives.
Why do people do this?
Because they want the fairy tale.
Yeah,
you know, it's like we're best friends now.
That's good enough for me. You know?
Reaching up, being like, oh my God, hi, how are you? This
And we've
is so
talked
wonderful.
about like being discovering people that we hated and being extremely satisfied with what we found online.
It's just such a pleasure.
It's the best.
Such a thrill.
Yeah.
But you know, and because I had so few friends, it's always nice to see that they're doing well, you know?
Yeah. It's
That's
kind of
it.
shocking to think that we didn't have a lot of friends because is it?
No.
Because I think
you're surprised.
We're so amazing.
You're so surprised by that. We had each other.
But we didn't hang out at school.
No.
Me and you did not hang out at school.
God, I hated school so much. I just couldn't wait
I think
to
I
get out of
hated
there.
it too. Did I hate it?
Yeah. I just couldn't wait to get out of there. I'm like,
It just felt
God,
like a
adulthood could not come fast enough.
Yeah, that's true.
just
It
could
felt like a
not.
place that you had to go to and just like be tortured all the time, you know?
It was just so
Why
unpleasant.
were people so mean?
I don't know.
My son really hates school.
I know.
He hates it.
He'll like high school and 8th grade. I
hope so.
promise you he will.
He thinks he won't.
He's
but
too lovely. He's too friendly and cute.
They're just so
smart.
mean. Oh
They're
my
all
God.
mean. They're all mean.
Why are kids so rotten?
Because they're hormonal.
I got the pleasure of picking him up. It's rare that I get to pick my child up from school.
He's like, what are you doing
Jeff
here?
loves me.
Oh, yay.
Loves me. And
That's
so
good.
he's usually not expecting me. So I pick him up and we're leaving. And of course, you're in this line that never ends and that you have to wait for the light to change 5 times before you get through it, you know?
Right.
So you're sitting there and you're like inching along. And I look over, I go, see, Jeff, I go, it's not as bad. Look at this poor guy. I'm like, he hates it when I say stuff like this. He's like, Mom, that is so mean. I'm like,
God.
okay, but it's just us. We are in the car. No one's listening. He doesn't know what I'm saying. You're not going to tell him. I'm like, so I can just say it. And I'm not being like, he's so ugly and gross. No, I'm just being like, look at the difference between somebody who looks like that's just how they were born. I'm like, versus how you look. I'm like, imagine the amount of bullying and stuff he gets. And he's like, who? And I'm like, him right there standing at the light. He's like, that's a teacher. That's Mr. Wilson. And he's nice.
It's hilarious.
And I was like, oh God, he looks so young.
You know, that's what you get for trying to harass an ugly child.
But no one was going to hear.
Oh my God.
It's only mean if they hear it or it can hurt their feelings or you're saying it to another person.
So funny.
I mean, but my son gets very upset.
Tyler absolutely will disown me if I talk crap. He hates it so much. He used to hate it when he was kids. He's like, Mom, that is very unkind.
I know,
and I'm like,
right?
all right.
My daughter will indulge with me.
Well, girls are different.
I used to think
different.
she would never participate. She would never like say anything
But she'll
back.
smirk and go,
But then one time she's like, Mom, remember that one time when you were teaching me how to drive and you told me to watch out for this certain kind of ethnic person that would be driving, and I won't say what it is because it's awful. And this was a long time ago. My daughter's 32 now, so I was teaching her to drive 25 years ago. She's like, you're so right.
oh shit.
I was like, Lauren. I'm like, well, actually, I regret a lot of the things I said when I was raising you. I was so young and I didn't know.
Yeah, we didn't know.
I'm like, my dad used to say stuff like that to me and he thought it was funny. And
it's not funny.
it's really not funny.
But yeah.
So yeah, her and I have both grown.
Oh God. Okay. And then we really have to go.
Yeah.
So as you know, I play online
Yes.
games, World of Warcraft, and then every once in a while we do these they're called social nights, and we started doing them during the pandemic because people just really needed an outlet, and so we did social nights. And so the other night we were somehow talking about childhood and how it's different for our kids versus us.
Oh yeah.
And siblings
Way.
and stuff like that. And so this one girl, actually, she's like, she had 2 brothers. And I said, I had 3 sisters. And I'm like, we did horrible things to each other, like
Yes.
all the time. And I said, one time we convinced our sister to drink alcohol. We told her it was milk.
Who?
Allison.
Did?
Yes. I go, we did get in trouble for that one.
What did we give her?
Kahlua.
Oh, I do remember that now that you say it.
And then she goes, oh, my brothers and I, we used to have a hair pulling contest.
Oh, God.
So all 3 of us would grab each other's hair and pull as hard as we could. And whoever gave in first lost.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, why didn't we do
Didn't
that?
we do something like that with a lighter or like burn like
lighter?
a candle? I can't remember.
Oh, put our
your
hand
finger
over the candle.
it. Yeah.
You know what? We did do something like that. That was very unsuccessful. But
Because nobody wanted to. It's like the moment it got warm, it's like done.
yeah, it's like
not burning myself.
We convinced our baby sister to jump off the roof of a shed with an umbrella, saying that she'd
bad.
float down like Mary Poppins. When I tell you that the silence was stunning.
Why?
Because apparently we and this other woman.
Everybody do that?
No, apparently not.
Make
And I'm like,
wings and stuff?
you know what? I guess I'm just not going to tell them about the time my sister ran me over with the car because they probably wouldn't find that funny either.
That wasn't funny.
It's not funny, but I laugh about it now.
I don't.
I know, but I'm
feel
just saying.
guilt.
But stuff like that, I go, oh, this is the part where they started to turn on me.
Well, why were you trying to stop me?
said-
First of all, you should have just let me go.
I know. I don't know. I was an idiot. I was
Well,
only
then I was an
19.
idiot.
I didn't know what I was doing.
I was an idiot too.
Anyway, what made them stop laughing was when I said, oh yeah, we held my sister down and put bologna on her stomach and made the dog eat it. And they're like,
that's funny.
and I'm like, what? It was hilarious. And they're like, uh-huh. And I'm like, okay.
Well, or how we would put your legs over your head and try to make you shit your pants. Because we thought that was funny.
And I'm like, and no one is laughing. And I'm like, what kind of lives did you have? I go,
like, It's called a poo job.
So finally, I just said, listen, I go, we were woefully unsupervised. I go, I'm older than you. Our parents worked full time. We had to figure out a way.
Well,
okay?
Dad barely worked. He was just at the shop all the time.
I know.
He didn't really do
I
shit.
go, but we were never, ever with our parents. Like,
That's
our parents
true.
worked. We were never, we were always alone.
Indeed.
So, I think only one time someone was chased with a knife. Once.
Who?
You had a knife.
I was chasing someone with a knife?
Yes.
Oh, God. It's always me.
But we were like 10 and 11.
I'm always doing
we weren't,
something
like,
diabolical.
old.
Well, I remember feeding Paula salt water when she was a baby.
I fed you a poisonous leaf and burned your lips.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
We've all been there.
Yeah. How did these things happen?
Because we're insane. We're just like wildly
Yikes.
creative children.
It's creative.
I mean, I don't know. I'm giving you a poisonous salad. That's pretty good.
Did you make it? It was an actual salad?
Yeah, from the backyard's plants. But what kind of parents plant poisonous leaves?
Well, they didn't think we were going to gather them and like eat them.
What is that horribly poisonous flower that's around here?
I know what you're talking about. I haven't a clue. You're the herbivore
The pink
person.
and the pink ones.
Herbivorous.
The pink flowers. They're
I didn't know those were poisonous.
yes, they're incredibly poisonous.
Because you got to be careful what you plant around your pets too, right?
Yes, exactly.
Because pets eat weird
Anyway.
things. Yeah, somebody yorked in the middle of the night. It was like 2:30 in the morning. I opened my eyes and I just like,
Oh, God.
I was like, okay.
One time I heard one of the cats puking and I'm like, go outside. Right. They were on the stairs. I'm like, get off the carpet. Oh my God.
Anything. I
Get on
know.
the tile, please.
I've done it. I've
Yeah.
thrown pets out the backyard while they were in the middle of doing something. Can you imagine?
No.
That you're getting ready to throw up and someone picks you up and throws you.
Well, I would just projectile vomit everywhere if they did that to me.
No, it's like,
Jeez.
damn.
All right. Well,
Anyway,
that's
yeah.
the show. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll be back. Bye.
Bye.